Glenn Beck is going to tell us about how America is apparently worshiping the demon Baal. Who knew?
We were talking on the way in about Baal, the god that, Old Testament, that, every time the people went bad, they started worshiping Baal. And we were talking about this today, and the signs are always the same. And whether we're worshiping Baal or not, I'm not talking about actually, worshiping some false god, but we are practicing the same thing. What the practice of the worship of Baal was child sacrifice, which if you had these orgies, and then if you didn't want the child, you just killed it as a child sacrifice. Well, isn't that what Planned Parenthood does? You don't want the child, so you have the right to kill it. We're just not doing it as a religious ceremony, but it's the same practice. And I just thought to myself, what? Who are we anymore? And it's sexual excess for anything goes at any time, and the more the better. So we got two of them. You have child sacrifice. You don't want your child after having the orgies. You don't want your child. Don't worry. You can just sacrifice it to the god. We have that through Planned Parenthood. We have sexual excess beyond imagination just 20 years ago. And what were they sacrificing for? They were sacrificing so the weather patterns would be good. Think of that. This is exactly what we're doing. Exactly.
The guy makes a good point, because recently my little cousin, female, she was having orgies, and then she got pregnant, and she realized, wouldn't it be a great idea to make the weather great tomorrow by aborting my fetus? And then we all had a conversation. It was a family call, a conference call. She said, I could keep the child, I could keep the fetus and let it come to term and everything, but I was thinking I really want it to be 76 degrees and beautiful tomorrow outside for the weather. So I don't want to be selfish. I want the weather to be good for everybody. So I figure, why not get an abortion? Listen to this guy, man. Honestly, it's gotten to the point where I really don't know how anybody can listen to right-wing media. Because the things they talk about, they're just so stupid. That's mind-numbing stupidity. Just even the beginning of the conversation. We were driving in and we were talking about Baal on the way here. Who does that? Who does that? Yeah, me and the buddies, we were going to go grab a beer the other day, but then Todd's over there going, hey, let me tell you something about Baal, huh? You know what I'm saying? That guy Baal with the thing and the demon and the horns and the tail, and that guy's a fucker, ain't he? Fuck that guy, huh? Who does that? You know what normal people talk about? Sports. The news. Whatever's going on in their personal lives. We were casually discussing Baal. Really? Was that before or after your conversation about Zeus and Thor and Hercules? Or did you not work those in? Or Buddha? Did you bring up Buddha? Do you oftentimes casually... we were talking about the Bhagavad Gita on the way in. See, it's funny how in the U.S. you bring it up any other, religious reference that's not specifically to our community, and people will go, why are you talking about that? It's such a waste of time. But for whatever reason, when you bring up our own myths, anything associated with the Bible, people are more lenient on it. Oh, okay, you're talking about Baal, I guess. If he were to say, we were talking about the Greek gods and how we believe in them on the way in, people go, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're like a fuck, you sound foolish right now. Nobody's interested in what you have to say, because you seem like you're losing it. But when he says Baal, all the right-wingers are like, oh, please, tell us more. Tell us more, Glenn, about Baal. What are we doing wrong? And then also, Planned Parenthood is killing children. Yes, they're killing children. They're committing infanticide. What they do is they line up a bunch of toddlers, and they pretend like they're going to take them to Disneyland, and then somebody busts down the door with an AK-47 and aims for the head. Oh, right, they don't do that. You made that shit up. So what do they actually... Well, clearly he's talking about abortion. He's saying abortion is murder, which of course it's not, but okay, let's run with this for a second. What percentage of the budget for Planned Parenthood goes to abortion? About 3%! Now, they could still fire back, well, we still think abortion is murder, so 3% murder is not okay either. Okay, well, let's break this down a little further. What percentage of abortions occur before 20 weeks? Now, why is the number 20 so important? Because before 20 weeks, there's no nervous system. There's total agreement across the scientific and medical community that before 20 weeks, the fetus does not have a nervous system, which means there's no pain. There can't be pain because there's no nervous system. What percentage of the abortions occur before 20 weeks? 98%. But this jackass is going to compare getting rid of a zygote or a gamete or an embryo, okay, which, by the way, you can do by taking the morning after pill, right? He's going to compare that. Murder! We're killing babies. We're killing children because we're worshiping Baal because we want good weather. Ah, you see the connection here? See? Aren't we so smart? And then, final thing I'll throw out here, man. When he makes the point, you know, it's terrible. Sexual excess, anything goes. Gross. Really? Are you trying to make my job easy, Glenn? Is that what you're trying to do? Sexual excess sounds fantastic. And by the way, everybody listening to this show right now, regardless of what your political affiliation is, unless your sexual orientation is actually asexual, which granted a small percentage of the population is asexual, they just have no interest in any kind of sexuality. Fair enough, what is 1%, and that's a high number, right? It's probably much less than that. 99% of people at least hear sexual excess and they go, yummy, where can I get some of that? So Glenn, be my guest. If you want to take up as one of your key issues, oh, sexual excess is so terrible. I mean, anything goes sexually? Ah, how gross is that? Be my guest, man. We will win that debate. We will win that argument all day long. And by the way, who the fuck really thinks that Glenn Beck himself isn't doing some freaky shit behind closed doors? Not something I want to think about, but we all know that's definitely the case.